G'day, guys. Good to see you all. Another live stream. Yeah, it's been a bit of a shit week this week. I was going to do a few things. I was planning to do a couple of videos, more than I just did towards the end of the week. It's just I got a bit of a flooding in my place, so the bedroom pipe busted or leaked and still hasn't been resolved. So still waiting on the plumbers next week and also the insurance company to tick off on it. Fucking hell, insurance companies. Anyway, so I'm still waiting on all that shit. And I've had a wonderful, basically, week of a couple of days here and there cleaning up water and, all that sort of shit. So it hasn't been a fun week for me in that regard. So, yeah. Pretty annoyed with everything. So I'm not happy. I'm happy to see you guys, my regular supporters, especially my T1, my dear T1. He was early. He was loitering with intent. Good day, Daniel. Got a bit of a croaky voice as well today. I don't know why, but anyway. Probably all the stress and all that I've been going through has probably basically been draining me or running me down. I don't feel, my normal sort of jovial self, but, stress can do that. Bit of chronic cortisol because you're fucking stressed with insurance companies, plumbers, and everything else under the fucking sun. Doesn't help. But anyway, that's life. G'day, Mandy. Oops. Oh, don't do that to me so early, StreamYard. Yeah, thanks, Vivid Mouse, with all the sort of stuff you're putting up about circadian rhythms and blue light and all that sort of stuff for Miguel. Appreciate that. Thank you. Good to see that the stuff that I've been basically talking about is you guys are starting to understand a lot of it and it's making sense to yourselves. It sort of makes me happy, actually. It actually makes me happy that I'm actually making some inroads, some traction with people, that people are understanding certain things better and better nuanced and all that. It gives me a reason to come back because, if you're not making any traction, you're not achieving anything, you go, why bother, So, yeah, thank you. Got 2 kilograms of pork, slowly cooking with bacon. Oh, God, you're making me hungry. Don't do that to me. Actually, today, I am going over to the old man's place. So he's invited me around and he will have my favorite food cooking, which is pork as well. So that's what I'll be having today at lunch. So looking forward to that. Cycle through a number of these comments of you guys. Going to take a bike, 10 minutes. Shame there's cold wind, so limited V. Yeah, look, I got quite a bit yesterday. I was out for, how many hours were we out? All through the morning, through midday, I was out in the sun. So I did get a bit of pinkiness. Probably shows on my skin. But no burning or anything like that. And the funny thing was, Luca, my mate's son, he basically says, don't you guys put any sunscreen? Because he put sunscreen on, stuff like that. And I go, nah, we don't burn, even though we're out for so many hours. I think my longest has been 5 hours in the sun, but that's because I was actually taking high doses of retinol and MK4. But this time I hadn't taken as much, and I did have noticed that I did get a bit more pinkiness than normal. So because that's just lower rate, not so much with the MK I mean, niacin, MK4 helps with the skin, but it's really retinol that really does the magic in. But also, if you take too much retinol, it's really hard to actually get tanned. It actually can act as an anti-tanning agent in a sense. So for all my Asian friends out there, get more retinol in your diet. But don't overdo it, because remember, you've got to balance. You don't want to reduce your vitamin D and create imbalances with your vitamin D. So if you're going to get more retinol, make sure you're getting more vitamin D as well, for those who do not want to darken their skin. Anyway, let's move on. Yes, Blinkers is here from very early. He was here, waving the flag. Ireland lost the rugby, but there's always Harry. Oh, well, you can't have everything. Such is life. Build a bridge, get over it. Isn't that what they say normally? G'day, Luke. Good to see you, mate. Oh, and T2 here is here as well. Yes, greetings all. Very stylish of you, the way you always greet us. Yes. Got the juice. Got the juice ready. I won't. It's too high. I won't do it on an angle because I'll end up tipping it all over my laptop. Anyway, I've done that before, and that was fun. I can tell you, a lot of fun. Hey, it's Greek time. It's Greek time. What's wrong with you? As my friend says, oh, Harry's late. It must be Greek time. And I usually just give him the finger. I always say that, when you're expecting a Greek, add 30 minutes to your schedule. G'day, Deborah. Oops. Go through each and everyone's comments just quickly. Nah, nothing like that. Just, yes, basically just overdid in the sun and didn't actually take enough retinol. So, and you got to take it before. It doesn't really help. I've noticed it doesn't really help after. I did take, come back and have a bit of cod liver oil, but, and niacin. And I did get a bit redder with the niacin, which I always do anyway. Not as red, actually, this time. I can't remember who actually mentioned, it may have been Dominique, that actually said, drink milk with it. And I actually did drink milk. I know aspirin, which isn't a good thing, does inhibit the flushing, but that's not a good thing, because it has other deleterious effects. And then also pectin, which you can get as a supplement. It's the stuff you find in, like apple cider vinegar or apples and stuff like that. So pectin also tends to basically reduce the flushing. So you can get a sort of supplement if you want to use niacin and you're really a poor flusher. I've just got used to it now. It doesn't annoy me as it used to. Maybe I've been desensitized to it. It's like being tortured multiple times and then becoming desensitized. So, yes, I've become a niacin bitch. It's good to see all you guys are so friendly and happy to be here. G'day, Cynthia. And Christina. It's always good to see Nurse Trouble here. a humorous teacher as well. Nutrient density. Oh, I like the rooster. You got a bit of competition, T2. I put my money on the rooster. Yes, that's in a cockfight. So you enjoyed it. I'm glad you did. Yeah, it is really nice. It just changes the flavour so much. Yep. I'm glad people are trying some of these culinary combinations, mixing it up a bit. There's always, different things we can do. I mean, there's a herb called galangan, which is an Indonesian. You find in Indonesia, Southeast Asia, and that is a very earthy. It's like nutmeg. It's a real strong earthy, and if you actually cook, like the pasta way I used to do it would be milk, and I would combine the galangan and actually put the actual cut in small, like the Asians do. They cut them in small little cubes, the actual liver, and put it in and put it in the fridge. Just let it marinate for a couple of hours. Some people do it overnight. It's up to you what you want to do. And the next day, cook it. And it really has that really earthy type strong flavor. And it is related to the ginger plant. So ginger plant has the ability to lower cortisol. So it's good midday, when you want to sort of lower the cortisol level. It's great to add it as a lunchtime herb that you add to your food. And basically, even though there's a bit of minor chelation, it's not like the other type of herbs or spices or plants that are heavy chelators, like they've got phytates and all sorts of things. So it's a very, very little, and it's not as problematic as turmeric as well with iron or anything like that. So you can basically use it. It's similar to ginger with the properties to basically inhibit cortisol. So it's a nice combo to add for your mid-meal or even your evening meal, especially if you've, people that are struggling with, stress and whatever, that I'll usually recommend that they use galangan or ginger-derived herbs in their cooking in the evening, because we can push down that nasty little cortisol that's sitting. So that's like a nootropic, but in your food. Anyway, let's move on. My schedule changed. I barely have time to chat. Sad reality. Oh, well, Yeah, I've had that before happen to me as well. Yes. Time to cook some chicken. Sounds good. Actually had chicken midday this week. My regular sort of free range from Maria Island in Tasmania, which is on the east coast. And we don't, so it's a really nice area. So they free range pretty much through there, which is good. So it's a pretty good quality in that way. And it's really nice. It's got a really nice taste to it. So, and a lot of them, because they're out there and they don't have, the sort of regular sort of predator issues, because a lot of the others, they are free range, but, they use grains a lot, where these ones, they've got little remote things that they wheel out in pastures, and they can go around eating bugs and stuff like that. So the quality of the actual chicken is much better. So, and it's not as fat, like the chickens aren't, like they're a bit smaller, because pastured chickens are smaller, sorry, but that's the reality. If you're not fattening them up on grains, they're not fattening up, but they are really tasty because they're eating bugs, they're eating, things in nature they should eat. So they've got a much richer flavor in that regard. So I do enjoy those chickens, where I find that, your regular supermarket chickens that I used to eat in the past are so bland, just shit. So yes, I won't go back. Let's put it that way. Why rosemary? You should check my other live stream where I discuss about using rosemary in basically liver dishes. You're welcome, mate. Thank you. So, what's your thoughts on DMG for detox, and which vitamin D supplement do you recommend? Now, let me just find the iHerb one that I usually. It has to be vitamin. The vitamin D needs to be basically either medium. There are three versions. There are the general commercial shit that's actually got all the seed oils. You don't want that. Sunflower oil and all that sort of shit. Then there are two other varieties. There's one with olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and the other one is with a sort of an MCT coconut based. So let me just find that. Why is my link to iHerb? Hold on. What the fuck's it doing? Bear with me. I'm having some. What the fuck? Just close some of this other shit down. I've got too many things running. Hold on, guys. Quit out of Discord as well. God, fuck, my whole panel is just running so many damn things. Too many things. Okay. Shit. Okay. That's the one with the. Okay. There's heady. Share. Okay. Let's turn that off. Turn myself off. So this is the one that I usually grab. It's pretty, so that's based from the, the sheep type thing. And is one of them. And then there's, let me just find the other one as well. There's So just a reminder, that's a chewable one. And the key thing is, people have different. Some people just don't like swallowing, and that can be an issue. So, and as you can see, it's got, xylitol, stearic acid. It doesn't, have anything really nasty. So that is the actual chewable one that some people may prefer. And this is the one which is basically a soft gel which has got bovine gelatin, water, glycerin, and extra virgin olive oil. So this is, oh, for fuck's sake. This is the one that I take. And the other part you were talking about, which is, I suspect that's dimethylglycine. So glycine. Well, glycine-rich foods are in animal foods anyway. So it's a salt. What is it? Sulfur donor. A donor. So it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. I use MSM as my primary sort of supplemental, but ultimately, for detoxing and stuff like that, you can't go past choline. And so, because at the end of the day, the methylation cycle needs to be supported with more choline. Most of us have, how can I put it? So I hope people got that. These are the sort of brands that, they're not very expensive. And that's why usually, they've got a good potency. You can take the other thing, the very high dose or stuff like that. And you will get, and there was, I think there's a Jarrow one as well, but that's a bit more pricier, and that also has is extra virgin olive oil based as well. So anyway, well, that's the sort of the cover. Actually, I don't know whether they have. They may have, but see, the thing is, you can also get glycine supplement. There are many ways you can actually get, these sort of sulfurs to basically, a lot of the animal products, they're full of sulfurs, sulfur amino acids like methionine, and glycine, which is part of this supplement. I only recommend people use supplementation. Let's say if you've had a lot of oxalate dumping, which depletes sulfur in your body severely, then yeah, there's a justification for taking basically a sulfur supplement plus. DMG also helps with, has some positive things when it comes to the brain as well. So I'm not poo-pooing it, but I see these sort of supplemental things, taking them in when you're transitioning to a carnivore diet, as a way to arrest pre-existing deficiencies or low levels of, or let's say you get exposed to a number of chemicals or mold or a number of different agents, then it's probably a good thing to up your detox in that regard. Your liver and kidneys do most of the detoxing in your body. There are other options, as you know. If it's metal related, selenide from selenium is a very important factor to chelate and to remove those minerals. I've used MSM in the past as my sort of sulfur source, as a supplement. And it's probably because, I use it as a powder, Different people use it in different ways, but, play around. But, yeah, I sort of, when it comes to DMG, is there really 100% solid stuff out there in terms of in the literature? It's mixed. It's mixed. Ultimately, I think that if you basically eat the inappropriate foods that basically deplete sulfur in your body, you're going to have problems, generally speaking. Now, these sort of supplemental approaches can help replete, and are good in that regard. So I'm not poo-pooing them at all. But do you need them for life? No. Our ancestors never did. But we do live in a very different environment as well. That's true. Far more toxic, So I tend to sort of, take MSM for, let's say, a couple of months, and then I get off it. And then I do again the same thing. So it's month on, month off, especially if I'm in an environment where, I go to places where they're, like my work environment, other places where I can't guarantee the sort of environment is going to be the quality that I want, and could be causing some level of, sulfur depletion. Having cheat days and doing inappropriate things will also deplete your sulfur. So there's a lot of things, and your detox capacity. I do want to do a video on some plants that tend to increase oxygen and also deal with certain things in the environment. They can reduce them. So which people can add to their environment and improve their environment that they're living in. So I just haven't got around doing it, but I will at some stage do something along those lines, just to give people multiple options. I hope that hope I didn't waffle too much. It is Halloween in America. It was Halloween here yesterday. So happy Halloween to my North American friends. I know Shell will be in her special outfit. Won't you, Shell? Dylan, good to see you, mate. There you go. Nothing like a beautiful evening. So you're definitely in probably North America somewhere. Yes. Here it's very early. It's 11 o'clock in the morning in Tassie. Yes. Thanks, mate. Yeah, I sort of want to cover. I sort of did want to cover. Look, the problem is I do discuss all sorts of things on my live streams, because I do have a day job and it's very hard to actually. But what I'm trying to do is the things that most people are interested in, I'm trying to now, focus my attention on making little videos on those things, and sort of stuff that I want to do more than, is like quantum biology and other things like that. I'm sort of leaving on the back burner for next year. I'm saying, look, people want practical things, practical solutions and stuff like that. So I'm doing more of that sort of stuff. And I will do a really, plain, simple sort of one on, blue light and stuff like that. But it won't be the sciencey type. It'll just be, these are the sort of products. This is how you do it through the day. This is how you combine it. Because I usually have different glasses. It's not, you've seen me having different pairs of glasses. The one that actually sits at my screen at my computer is always this one. But I've got the other one for the evening, and then I've got for the late, which is, red. So you sort of, in the mid-afternoon, as the, we get the wavelengths shifting, and as those wavelengths shift, we need to go to something which is like 50% blocking. And then as the blue light recedes and you move into this sort of, you've still got the green spectrum, a bit of the green spectrum transitioning into the sort of those other orangey sort of spectrums. You have the other pair of glasses that you actually start using just after that stage. And then as you are moving into darkness, you're moving into the near infrared, and that's when you go to the red glasses. So I have, I transition through the day. I change my glasses. So, in that regard, and I want to do it properly, just to show people exactly the times of the day, and it varies through the year as well, because we've got seasons. So there's a seasonality side of things and that, so people can understand the circadian rhythms and how to do this properly, and so it requires a video to do it properly, to explain all the different steps. I talk about all this in general, but I haven't actually done a video showing the exact times, the exact, and things like that. And I've on my live streams, I've discussed about, people and biohacks for, people that are doing night shifts and stuff like that. You've heard it before. But what I haven't done is really, like provided like a protocol for night shift workers, a proper thing. And there are people, especially in this environment where the economy's, tanked in different parts of the world, and it's much harder for people, and people are sort of, maybe taking an extra job and stuff like that. They need this information so they can actually support their families, and at the same time, some motorbike going past, so that at the same time they can actually get information which will help them in that regard. So yes. Anyway, let's move on. Yes, it is very nice. Can be addictive. Harry, what do you make of people mentioning that the majority of people are lactose intolerant as an argument against consumption of milk and other dairy types? Nonsense. Look, there are a number of there are specific people that are lactose intolerant. Really lactose intolerant. We're not talking about, really lactose intolerant. I'll tell you what happens to them. If they drink milk, two things happen to them. They start farting quite a bit, and they also end up in the toilet with diarrhea. So these people know that they've got a lactose intolerant issue. It's not something that, is mystical to them, or something which is, oh, I think I may have. Most people that say, I think I may have, could have basically from a bad diet, gut permeability. And so they may have reactivity because of gut issues. They could basically have candida. They could have all these other bloody things. They could have SIBO and whatever else, and all these other symptoms that are basically, usually if people have those conditions, I usually say, just go basically to meat. Give all these other things a bit of a rest. Get off them, because you're going to react to a lot of things. And so that's when you sort of eliminate right down to meat, and only meat in that regard. So, but it is nonsense, because we have lactose, bacillus, strains of bacteria, and we can take different lactobacillus strains to deal with this, populate, because they're acid loving, which means they don't get killed as they're going through, they're transiting through the gut. So you can take lactobacillus, repopulate your gut with ones that colonize, and they can deal with a lot of that sort of lactose and breaking it down. One. The other thing is, some people may have a sensitivity to casein. So it may not be the lactose at all. It may be basically that they've got a sensitivity to A1 milk. So if you come from the southern part, if you come from the Mediterranean region, in particular from the Middle East, the Horn of Africa, Southeast Asia, all these parts, the subcontinent, India, Pakistan, and all these. If you come from all these areas, I can tell you the only milk you've consumed is your ancestry is A2. So you may react a bit, to the casein. So it may be a casein issue, not even have to do nothing with lactose. So, and I would say you can test that by getting an A2 milk and trying that and noticing the difference. So that's an easy thing you can do. The other thing that I would say to a lot of people is that while there is different lactose persistent genes as well, people that have got lactose persistent genes can consume quite a lot of dairy products and milk like I do, and without having any effect whatsoever. But people that don't have the genes and only have, let's say, the bacteria, they may notice some flatulence and stuff like that. We're not talking about diarrhea and all the other stuff, just a bit of flatulence. Now, if those people basically, have raw milk, which has got a lot of the lactase enzymes in it, then they actually don't notice these sort of effects. They are nearly as immune as people with lactose persistent genes. Anybody in Europe will either have one or two of the genes. Anybody in Central Asia will also have one or two of the genes. Anybody in the Mongolia area and all that will have some of the one of the genes or both of the genes, or a high level of the bacteria that are lactose loving bacteria. So even though these people may not have the genes, they do have high levels of lactose loving bacteria. And so could somebody who's lactose intolerant I actually know someone, a family friend, that's actually using the bacterial strains that I've talked about, but I haven't actually. I need to do a video on some of these strains, bacterial strains. I will get to it, to repopulate the gut and help with dealing with lactose. So, yeah, look, most people that come to the carnivore community are coming with wrecked guts, wrecked stomachs, wrecked livers, and all sorts of problems. And I don't recommend people, they really need to just cut back to basics at that point. And that's where they're coming from. And their argument in their mind is coming from that, And I usually say to these people, fix your health first and then reintroduce other animal products. Because these people even react to seafood in some cases, or eggs they can't tolerate. And normally in the past, I've heard people say, I used to tolerate eggs, but I can't now. Well, your gut is a mess. You need to fix it. You need to basically go on a species appropriate diet to the basics of it and basically sort out your health. And then you can start reintroducing some of these foods. So, yeah, there is a lot of nonsense out there. You think there's an epidemic. I mean, the funny thing is, the Irish, as an example, anybody with an Irish ancestry has the highest in the world. I mean, they have something like nearly the entire population is lactose persistent in terms of genes. And you won't believe how many people with Irish descent I get that tell me that they're lactose intolerant or they've got lactose issues. And I'm going, I just shake my head because I realize it's just ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. And once they fix their gut, usually, I can tolerate it. Oh, God. Yes, you can, because you don't have leaky gut. You don't have all these other bloody issues. So, yeah, And that's the thing, you know. Um, we need to fix our guts, you know, if we're getting reactivity, and it's simple as that. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, I hate it. StreamYard. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. Found a spot. What's the best way to cook kidneys? I find flavour too strong. It's really the only organ meat. I need to find ways to enjoy kidneys. Okay. Um, the best way is, let me just find the, I think it's in, he's got it in English in that one. Just need to find it, which is those Greek guys that actually do a lot of like roasting of different. It's quite, look, in Greece, you know, you know, in the past when I was in the 70s in particular as a youngster, you've got sister yes, they're called, which is basically you don't have you know, like we have restaurants. They have a lot of cestadillas, which is basically places where they cook meat, you know, so over coal. And I've worked in a lot of that. That's the sort of restaurants that existed back then quite a bit. They were very popular. And that's the nice thing about it. You know, that's the real fucking Mediterranean diet, not this fucking BS out of academia. Where are those guys? Uh, they're called grill philosophy. Let me just. Okay. Share my screen. These are the guys. This is a Greek website. They're called Greek philosophy. They do have some. Um, it's all about meats and stuff like that. And as you can see, you know, when it comes to Greeks, there's a kokoretsi. And a lot of the actual, like the vegetables that are used in Greek cuisine are pretty much low glycemic, stuff like that. You know, you'll get things like onions and shit like that on meat. You know, it's mainly meat and some of those sort of vegetables. Now, I need to find the kokoretsi one. There's a nice one, pork belly and beef recipe. Nice. That's the, not the one that I'm actually trying to find. That's real souvlaki there. I think he's done it with pork as well. So I know he's got one that he's actually done it in with English. That's too far. That's it. That's it. And it's got English. So that is the one that he explains exactly how to make it. So you can actually make a kukuretsi, which is you can combine all the different organs. Come on. What is bloody happening today, sis? Annoying. Fuck off. So that is the intestine. You wash it out. My dad used to make me do this. And so these are all the organs. You put them on. And that's how you go north, south, north, south, north, south. And then you wrap it around the middle part, up and down, up and down. There it is. So if you've got a rotisserie, you can cook it like that. It is absolutely beautiful with the herbs that they put in. Check it out. You will really enjoy it. If you eat organ meats like this, forget it. You won't be going back to the old shit or the supplements or crap like that. So, yes. Do please subscribe to that site. They do have both Greek and English content, and it's all in Greek, but they do translate it, but not everything. So they usually put it in captions that it's been translated or not. Okay, I will get rid of that. So, yes. Yeah. So, look, I hope that sort of helps. And that's a nice way of actually, putting it over a, coal over a grill or in a sort of a rotisserie type system, like you would put a chicken, same sort of thing. You can make a smaller thing, really nice. You don't have to, all this sort of people, saying, oh, you gotta make it edible. And these are beautiful ways of making it edible. So we've been doing this for thousands of years, since antiquity. So we enjoy our organ meats, from young age. But we things with rosemary, with all sorts of things, the way we actually do we make it really an enjoyable meal and very yummy. Anyway, let's move on. So I hope that helped. Happy Halloween, Harry. Oh, yeah. Happy to you as well. Could you explain how the PUFA in gastric animals is different than that of PUFA in vegetable oils? Well, in animals, basically, PUFA has been incorporated in a way that is stabilized. So the actual cells of animals where the actual PUFA gets incorporated into is very stable. Where in seed oils, while initially in the plant it is stable, when you extract it through heat and a whole lot of other solvents, you end up creating a damaged product. And the thing is, even though they put vitamin E in it, it's not the same. See, vitamin E, vitamin A, all these things that are in the tissue of animal products is tied in a specific, it's bound. There are ionic bonds that exist between different parts of that tissue. And those ionic bonds basically provide the correct way of actually tying things together. We're not going to have a biochemistry sort of discussion here, but suffice us to say is that in the tissue of animals, it is incorporated in such a way where it's stable and it's not going to be a problem. In vegetables, the moment you cut a vegetable, it basically starts degrading. The oil starts degrading. You know, if you take meat and you put it out in the sun, the same thing will happen. You know, so you can damage the PUFAs in meat as well if you put them out in the sun. You know, that's why we traditionally had two ways of actually preserving meats. One was salt, and the other one was, the modern one is refrigeration. So, and when they were using salt, it was in an environment where it was basically not in direct light as well. So that's very important. But, you know, the way it incorporates in animal tissue is a very stable way. When you go through an industrial process, you literally rip that structure to bits. So the plant structure is completely and utterly decimated. That's why these plant oils are very dangerous. They're full of aldehydes, primary and secondary oxidative products. So they're not only damaged, and when they incorporate, they cause all sorts of reactivity in the body, but they're full of aldehydes. I mean, I've shown you before in other live streams the very high aldehyde levels that actually can accumulate within a couple of days from the moment it gets produced. You don't see that in an animal product. And as I said, as I've argued to these people, I said, show me one study which shows an increase in aldehydes or primary or secondary oxidative products in animal PUFA. I just want one study. Remember what Bart says. You've either got a 0 or a 1. You show me a 1, and then I'll pay attention. But if you don't have a 1, fuck off, is my reply, because you've got no science. You've only got an opinion. And Salad Boy has opinions. And basically, he actually states it quite clearly. The last video that I saw of him, he actually said, "Oh, it's my opinion. It's, you know, that he's got, you know, he thinks he's got no mechanism to be able to show. He's got no proof to be able to show. He knows that all the rat studies are full of seed oils, so he can't argue that. And the one that he ignores completely is the one that I've actually brought up, which is the rat eating the bacon and being cancer protective. So, you know, so basically, you know, either come up with a 1 or fuck off, Salad Boy. You know, I'm sick and tired of hearing this nonsense about animal PUFA. So, you know, if you've got the science, put it forward. I'm willing to acknowledge that I was wrong on some aspects. But if you don't have the science, you know, and because basically to demonize animal foods like pork is really annoying, especially when we've got these longevity populations that have been consuming nothing other than fucking pork. Our closest relatives, and probably also the majority of existence of hominin existence going back 3.5 million years out to 5 million years, we're consuming little piglets. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's nonsense. I'm sick of it. I've just had enough of it, a gut full of it. This, you know, regurgitation. It all comes from the Ray Peat crowd, and to some extent he interacts with these people. And so apparently something which is 7 times more glycating than glucose, which is honey, is better than pork. Drives me up the wall. So hope that was an explanation, my rant, because I'm really pissed off with the whole issue. Anyway, I think I've nailed it to death. If you've heard my other comments on this and some of the studies that I've shown and stuff like that, I've pretty much covered it. in my other live streams quite clearly. And as I say to people, you want to challenge me? Come on and debate me, but have a science. I don't give a shit about your opinions. Fuck off. I'm not interested in your opinions. Salad boy, show me one study, just one study that basically that basically can prove causation. He's got none. It's all opinions, it's all views and stuff like that. Basically. Anyway. Oh, yes. As I said, I put my money on the rooster. Yes, exactly. Yeah, glad he did. It's good to see him around. And look, we need these questions. And it's not having a go at Jared. It's basically he's asking a legitimate question, and I'm answering it. And he's also thanked me, which is really nice of him, and I appreciate it. But I'm also sick and tired of Salad Boy going out there telling us, "Oh, my controversial ideas about PUFA." Yeah, they're your ideas, mate, and don't forget it, because nobody else basically subscribes to them. Paul Mason basically has disowned the whole idea. Ken Berry has disowned the whole idea. Sean Baker, all these people agree with me because there is no science. And how can a food that we've been consuming for millions of years, as hominins, let alone Homo sapiens, for 350,000 years, be problematic now in the modern era? I mean, it's beyond a joke. Anyway. I love pork, so I get really upset about people attacking pork. I love ginger in my bone broth. I make it home. Yes, very nice. To put a bit of flavour. Thanks, y'all. Lean power? What sort of world? What sort of weird imaginary world do you live in? Can Prev brand here in Canada, MCT oil based order from Healthy Planet Canada. I don't know anything about the product. Never heard of it. I usually don't recommend MCT oils anyway. They can be a bit, let's say, problematic to the gut. There are certain people that can have sensitivities to high dosing. There's also, I haven't made the video, but I've got the information I've spoken about before, that high dosing of MCT can cause some allergy type effects in some people. So it's not something that I recommend. Normally, we wouldn't be basically consuming such a refined product in that way. So it's not something that I do recommend. I usually poo-poo MCT oils. I think they're a waste of money, personally. And the allergy component is probably a problem in itself as well. I think they have been used for people with, dementia or Alzheimer's and all that. Yes, they do provide some ketones, some energy, but I think they're overrated and can be problematic. If you're eating a species-appropriate diet, you should be able to generate enough ketones to deal with that. Is my view. G'day, mate. How's it going? Good to see you. You like the animals, don't you? Okay, barely made it here. I'm afraid I have to go. 99. Good people. See you, mate. Take care. I'll go past my own comment. I'll put it up there for a short period of time. Anyway, if I were to get meat on bulk from farm every few days and freeze it, would I have a vitamin C concern? Not really. Remember, your vitamin C is also basically it plays an antioxidant role, which if you're on a species appropriate diet, you don't need. You've got uric acid and you've got glutathione, which is refreshing and recycling. So when you've got low insulin, you've got higher levels of glutathione in your system, endogenously producing, it actually recycles vitamin E and vitamin C by electron doning. Hands over an electron, which basically stabilizes, because too much vitamin C can become pro-oxidant. That is why the body should be on a species appropriate diet. Most people that basically get low-grade scurvy or the sort of effects are people that are basically diabetic and people that have got that are eating carbs like there's no tomorrow and overloading the GLUT4 receptor, so no vitamin C can get into the cell, So people like us, our GLUT4 receptor is very sensitive. It's very close to the surface, waiting for anything, because we're very low carb. So the moment vitamin C comes along, even small amounts will be sucked in because the GLUT4 receptor is not being overloaded by glucose. So it's a non-concern. This is why, if you take a look at tribal people like the Inuit and all that, they're in these sort of lands. They would take meat and they would throw it out and cover it with snow and eat it. Days later. Cook it, eat it, not an issue. So the only thing that I wouldn't do is overcook the meat, which a lot of tribal populations both had some raw meat and didn't overcook it to basically get more. Does it make a big difference? Depends on how much you eat. Because remember, it's also converting and making hydroxyproline and hydroxylysine. If you eat quite a lot of animal products, you'll get those types of collagen type aminos. So do you need basically the vitamin C to do the conversion to get more? Less of an issue. This is why we lost the capacity to produce endogenously vitamin C, because we didn't need it. It can actually be a pro-oxidant. It can be a problem in large amounts, especially in a species that is using uric acid to regulate and glutathione to regulate on a species appropriate diet, that is to regulate the antioxidant status within the body. So completely different if you're on a carbohydrate diet. That's deleterious in general and creates all sorts of issues. If you take a look at all animals that lost the ability to produce endogenous vitamin C, that was actually stopped genetically. This is not, the body says we don't need it. So, and if we take a look, Dylan, at the actual species, we will find that all these animals have one thing in common. They produce uric acid. And the other thing is they produce LP(a). And LP(a) is the protective form of LDL with a little tail on it. I know everybody says, oh, it's atherogenic, it's awful. No, if you eat a species inappropriate diet, it does go up in order to fix things. If you're exposed to a lot of toxins and stuff like that in your environment, you get some endothelial damage, LP little a will be there, the hero, the champion for your body to heal it. If you're chronically damaging your body, there'll be more LP little a out. But that's because animals that don't produce endogenous vitamin C produce uric acid and LP little a, one to lower the inflammation, deal with the antioxidant sort of stuff, and the other to repair the inflammation damage that's actually happened from your inappropriate behavior, or being exposed to inappropriate things. So that is the great thing about the way our bodies work. Anyway, yes, definitely good night. And that was the other one, the other product. You're welcome. I did forget to mention about the vitamin D3. There are also, yeah, thanks, Shel. Yeah, it's not. The channel is progressing slowly towards the 1K mark, sort of very slowly. But anyway, one can only hope things pick up later. I was hoping that to be 1K this year. I actually said to Bart, if I'm not 1K by Christmas, I'm gonna ditch the channel. I've sort of pulled away from that. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy you guys. You're really nice friends. So I do enjoy your company, and I sort of got involved with a number of people that have got a number of health concerns and all that. And I sort of feel an obligation not to basically dump them. So yeah, so I'm sort of persisting with it a bit longer. Let's put it that way. Anyway, let's move on. Yes, yes. The wonderful join button. Yes, apparently vegans are saying carnivore is not sustainable long term because people like Frankie and Helmet have quit. Who gives a shit? First of all, Frankie and Helmet were doing really crazy things. They were doing things with drugs as well. One of them, I won't mention which. The other one was doing a whole lot of weird supplementations and stuff like that, taking a lot of sugary type things like honey. So there's, and also, yeah. So I won't comment because there are other people that are sensible that have been doing this for a very long time and don't have any of these problems. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that's an argument. Actually, just give me a sec. I just want to see, is there anything on? I have to search for Frankie and Helmet, see what they're up to. Frank Defano, and we'll do one on let's put his name. What's the other one? Being arrested there. That's a bit weird. Give me a sec. So, well, let me just turn that off for a sec, and I will share with audio. And so what's Frankie? So he's got one on Zverich. Okay, so he's got another one on Paul Saladino about plagiarizing. He's still on that subject. For fuck's sake. God almighty. Making mistakes on strength and stuff like that. Actually, I sent him a whole lot of bodybuilding stuff ages ago. So it's nothing. It's not from Frankie. These were the gold era guys and all that. So yes, if he ever argues otherwise with me on that issue, I've got the email. So just in case it ever comes up, he won't because he doesn't have the balls. In that regard. So, well, he's still eating stuff here. So still on the same issues. He's still doing the so-called corny, cornivore, arguments against the others and all that. So I don't actually see, in that regards. I mean, who cares what the vegans say? I mean, they have a dropout which is much higher than anything else. Their dropout is 85%. So they've got no argument. I'd just turn around and say to the vegans, well, some people just may not like the carnivore lifestyle. It may not suit them, or they may have other issues which they haven't dealt with, and that's why. But, one or two people doesn't make the carnivore diet wrong when you've got multiple generations of people that have been consuming animal products, and have had no issues. They can breed over multiple generations. Okay.
Of power.
Anything you want to say?
In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, he is coming. He is coming for you because it's you, people.
Yep. So he's lost the plot completely. He's looking for a wife as well. Let's talk about drugs. Yeah, what's new? I mean, Hellman basically has a lot of issues, both mental issues, drug-related issues, and a whole lot of other lifestyle issues. So I wouldn't be taking advice from a person like that. There are plenty of other sane people on the internet, like, Sean Baker, Ken Berry, a number of others, Paul Mason, and people like that make far more sense. These characters are just basically showboats. They're off the planet, and it's all basically clickbait shit and stuff like that. That's all the stuff, He's selling snake oil, It's, pretty much. They haven't changed their style. They just basically, really, really weird. So, yes, let's move on to something a bit more serious. G'day, mate. Good to see you. Easy Carnivore is asking me any thoughts about the best way to raise DHEA, diet, just animal products and stuff like that in that regard. I mean, some people will do supplements in that regard. You could also, in the, part of these hormonal things that are supported from the adrenal glands, these hormones that are produced. So eat kidneys, So organ meats. So that's another way of actually furnishing the body with a material to produce what you need. You can actually get this. There's a supplemental form in a yam, I believe it is. But why bother? Really, why bother? I wouldn't. I will be doing a bit of some nutraceuticals eventually, and nootropics that actually really work. They can actually help hormones and all that. I mean, I've talked before about boron, how it basically can stabilize the different, your testosterone, estrogen, all these, bring those sort of hormones into balance. But there are other things also that basically can help with dealing with, hormones out of whack and stuff like that, especially cortisol. I mean, I can think of two herbs that can incorporate in your dishes, ginger and galangal, that are basically will bring cortisol levels down to more sleep better, circadian rhythms, blue blocking glasses and stuff like that, things like that to basically increase melatonin. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of aspects in that regard. It's sometimes I find that when people make those lifestyle changes and incorporate species appropriate foods, things literally fall into place. It may not happen immediately. Some of the problems with supplementation of these sorts can cause other imbalances because these organs do produce other hormones. And so when you provide them with a material, it's a bit like the thyroid. Give the material to the thyroid that it needs: iodine, selenium. You can get from animal products, zinc. Give it a bit of copper. Give it the things that it needs, and usually the body will find its own homeostasis, sort itself out. It's the best way of doing it. Throwing too many supplements, I'm not very big into supplements unless they have a longevity purpose, a real reason to exist, like taurine. Your biosynthesis, for us old farts, me being 54, goes down over time. And in 10 years' time, when I'm 60, 11 years' time, when I'm 65, it drops off completely drops off, which basically means that at that stage, sarcopenia, osteoporosis and stuff like that, I'm far more vulnerable in the older age bracket. And so as an amino transporter, very important. My brain, very important, breaking down beta amyloid. So they do have their purposes. Choline, especially with people like me that have got certain SNPs that are problematic. And very important, I say to people, as a methyl, for methylation purposes, choline plays a big role. So up your choline, up your eggs, up your liver, organ meats and stuff like that, because you're going to get more choline. Some people need more than others, in particular people like me with my genetics, but it varies. But I would say I wouldn't bother supplementing. I'd look at organ meats and stuff like that to help raise it. So it is you need to support your kidneys, your adrenals basically produce it. So yeah, I wouldn't. I think there are supplements here and stuff like that. Let me just take a look. Let me just give me a sec. Adrenal gland supplements. God. Organ meat. Once. Oh, that's a liver. What's this one? Ancestral fed. Ah, that's the. See, that's a possible. That's a possible supplement you could get. It's the ancestral supplements, grass-fed adrenals and stuff like that. But as I said, I usually just if you eat, a mixed, what I call a mixed animal food diet of different varied, you will get different macronutrient compositions in your diet, which tend to be quite good, I find anyway. So, you could take something like that as a supplemental thing to support your adrenals as a short-term thing, but that's all I would do. I wouldn't do it as a long-term thing, not necessarily. But if you're got issues of that sort, yep. Oh, fuck, Bart's in there. G'day, Bart. What the fuck are you doing, Harold? Live Google searches? Yeah, I know. Bad, isn't it? On vodka will deplete your sulfur? Do you have to ask that question? Fucking alcoholic? God almighty. Ask the other alcoholic that's just turned up to troll me. You want to come on, mate? Interested? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Good to see you anyway. As I've been saying to some of the crowd here, I've been telling them that basically if people have, quite severe issues that, from past indiscretions, like yourself, you had your eyes and stuff like that, that they should consider your stem cell sort of approach. So it's up to people on that front. I think it's a good product. So if people basically want to, because Bart told me ages ago about it before he started promoting it, that it actually healed his eyes and all that and stuff like that. And he just basically at the time, he didn't want to sell it online in that regard. And he just felt like everybody else was doing the same thing, selling. But I said, well, there's difference. People are selling shit. You've actually got a product that actually fixed your macular degeneration, fixed your health problems. So I think Bart has a product that actually works, not a product that basically is just a bullshit to product that most people put out there because they just basically want to do commercials. He's actually selling the product. He's not doing commercials for any other third company, out there. He's part of that organization. So he just basically hasn't been promoting the product that he's been using to fix his eye problems. So $25K qualification. I'm not sure what that's about. So whether that's anyway. So do check out that product. It's got good research behind it. For people that need it. People that don't need it, just stick to a species appropriate diet, like I do. If we'd quit, we don't know whether Frankie did or not. Frankie basically has his days where he poo-poos the carnivore diet, and then he comes back as it's all-embracing savior or whatever. So yeah, it's all there. How can one say? It's the entertainment side of Frankie. You know, if he's not entertaining you in bed, he's entertaining you in other ways. Oops, I lost my spot. Fuck. Gotta love StreamYard. Where am I now? Okay, I found a spot. Oh, God, StreamYard does frustrate me, I have to say. Don't listen to Christina. She's leading you down the garden path, Balbert, to, you know, what is the best diet for lots of alcohol and hallucinogenics? Oh, God almighty, mate. As I said, you deplete a lot of B vitamins and also choline. You really go through a lot, and some sulfur as well. So I shouldn't be telling you these things. Fucking hell. But before actually having a binge, what I usually do is I have a bit of MSM in a glass. I put it in a glass of water, mix it. I put 2 dissolvable B complex sort of lozenge type things. And for rapid uptake, you can understand, not something that like a pill that takes time, rapid uptake, because I'm going out to drink in about half an hour. So I want rapid uptake. And pretty much I will put in 3 grams of choline, mix it all up, drink it, and I'm out. And after that, when I get back, I usually have a big glass of water with another 2 of those B vitamin complex, because you burn through B vitamins. And the next day when I wake up, I've got no hangover. I feel great. You know, so yeah. Actually, I can come back, and if I sleep appropriate hours, I can feel better than if I don't sleep appropriate hours. That's the difference. So yes, you do burn through a lot of choline and a lot of B vitamins. And so that really can help with the alcohol. Now with drugs, I can't really help you there. That's not my scene. I think the only thing that I've ever done in my life as a youngster was basically a bit of marijuana. That's about it. So, and that was for a very, you know, a couple of times here or there. It wasn't something chronic. So it didn't really actually work. To be honest, marijuana doesn't really have much of an effect on me. I don't know why. Maybe some genetics. But, you know, other people get a very high. I didn't really feel much. Don't know. Maybe because of that detoxification pathway that I've got that clears out, you know, like caffeine really rapidly. It probably does the same thing to things like, you know, the compounds that I've found in weed. So it doesn't really do much for me. So I didn't bother. Alcohol did more for me. That's why I hit the alcohol far more as a youngster than weed. Because weed was a waste of money. Alcohol, at least I could get a high. I know, yeah, misspent youth, like all of us. Balbird, has alluded to it for a long while. Now, only things missing is an official video. Yes, exactly. Say no more. Are there any good studies showing different levels of glycation for people with different ApoE genes? Thank you. Not that I've actually seen. I've actually shown the different glycating effects of, like last time, I showed you a graph which showed people that were eating either more sugar, refined sugars, and were getting more fructose in, that they had far more visceral fat and all that. And there is a number of research showing the high glycating effects of fructose, which is 7 times the glycating effect of glucose. And Robert Lustig, who's from California, he's basically he's done a lot of work on both the damaging effects of fructose and also the glycating effects, and provided a lot of information on his videos. Now, obviously, if you've got an ApoE44, I've actually done a video with Pim Johnson, and I discuss the ApoE genes from an ancestral point of view, and that because chylomicron resonance in people that have got 2-2 alleles, or they've got the gene types different, or they've got basically the variation of 3-3, which is what I've got, our remnant chylomicron tends to not be uptaken as fast into the liver. So the ancestral version, and this actually explains why ancestrally, and in most tribal populations, have got very high levels of ApoE44, or the chimps of ApoE44, or the apes and all that, because in nature there is not much sugar, very little. So basically, you can uptake fat very rapidly into the liver, and not an issue, because ancestrally you would have been on a low sugar diet. There wouldn't have been sugar in there, the liver, to create the havoc that we usually get. But when we're basically, let's put it this way, when trimethylglycine support counter hangovers, can help. When going back to what it was, when we basically add too much sugar in the mix, and you've got a lot of sugar, you can actually get spillage of sugar out of the actual liver into the bloodstream, causing a lot of glycation. Also, you will end up forcing the body to convert more of the glucose into fructose in order to then convert it to fat. So you'll get a lot of triglycerides being exported out, being also all these lipids being glycated as well, which is not a good idea. So the mechanism of the ApoE was to basically uptake energy very fast that you just ate. So your circulating chylomicrons would be about 10 minutes in those days, because people are on a low sugar diet. Nowadays, people have deranged and deregulated sort of the way the energy transport system in the body is working, and you end up with such levels of insulin resistance at the cell level that you have circulating chylomicrons up to 6 hours. So, that's the problem, a big problem that we have. But I would say that if you've got an ApoE44, you're probably going to be prone to higher levels of glycation, just for the simple fact that you'll be taking sugar up. You'll be taking fat up much faster than other people. And if you've got the same level of sugar in your liver, and you're uptaking the same level of fat into your liver, you're going to cause far more derangement and and problems compared to someone who may have an ApoE of 2-2 and has a much slower uptake of remnant chylomicrons. And so, as a consequence, you're not overloading the system in the same way. And these people can tolerate what is called a high-fat diet. And what they mean a high-fat diet is high in sugar and fat. That's what they mean. So, yeah. So basically I would say, yeah, it would have an effect, but it would have an effect at the level of the liver. And then from there, the ramifications that derive from that. Do check my chat with Pim, where I go through and explain a lot of that. And from an ancestral point of view, what happened, why the changes happen over time. So it's interesting. Go and check it out. Anyway, let's move on. Wouldn't be surprised. I suspect we're talking about the same character that we were talking before. How anti-keto he has become lately, and how spouting some slightly Ray Pete bullcrap. Yeah, okay, yeah. Is he? Okay, I didn't know that. So on his live streams, he must be doing that, because on a lot of the other stuff, he's still showing animal products and stuff like that. Shit, water nearly. A glass of water nearly ended up on the floor. Anyway, and I forgot my coffee as well. Fuck. Nice and cold. What's new? I usually drink most of my coffees cold. Okay. Yeah, probably bullshit. Yeah, the same sort of nonsense. I've heard all their nonsense. It's like, the bears come out and they basically, eat a whole lot of sugar and end up basically no longer being pre-diabetic. And I go, huh? There's no sugar around in spring. It's only in the fall and in the end of summer. So more bullshit. Same people, more bullshit. They just make shit up. I mean, I've challenged them on those points of views that when they actually bring them up, and I go, well, hold on. You're claiming that a bear comes out of hibernation, is pre-diabetic, and basically it's sugar, which doesn't exist in the environment in spring, and basically goes and normalizes. No, the only thing that it's actually doing is it's sitting on the riverbank, picking off all the actual salmon that are coming upriver in spring to spawn. That's what it's doing. Because unlike Ray Pete idiots, it actually knows what is in its environment and what it should be eating at that time of the year. It's not like at the end of the year eating a whole lot of grapes and stuff like that and fattening up, engaging the Randall cycle. For fuck's sake, these cockwombles. Yes, they talk shit and lies. It's just absolute lies. How many times I've caught them out just blatantly misrepresenting information and data, blatantly. At least with the vegans, they just how can I put it? They jump on all this nonsense bullshit epidemiological studies, which are bullshit, but they actually base some of their nonsense on other nonsense, so to speak. The Ray Pete crowd don't actually, they don't point to specific science or specific studies or whatever. They just talk shit. They really just make it all up, a lot of their sort of stuff. They've got an agenda. I don't know whether Ray Pete or people like that, because he's an academic, whether he's been, financed by the sugar industry in the past. I wouldn't be surprised. We've got a number of academics in Australia that do the same thing, and they are financed by the sugar industry, and they're just out there causing mischief, But when you pull them up and say, show me a study, show me something, they ignore you. When I've gone onto their blogs, one academic from Sydney University kept on just deleting all my comments. Prick. But anyway, the only reason I'm not mentioning his name, because I don't want to be sued for defamation or something like that, because basically, unfortunately, the legal system works for these people, so yes, what can you say? Because the thing is, the proof's been eliminated, removed. So I've got, when somebody controls a blog site and I can't get back to the information, I should have captured it, but anyway, that's a different thing. I can't, they can, but then they ban you. And so if you don't have evidence, it's, fraught with danger. Let's put it that way with some of our laws. But yeah, they are crap and they promote crap and pretty much, yeah, look, people like, you have to understand that people like Bart and me are deep thinkers. Pim, deep thinkers. People like basically, you know, these general sort of, they're not deep thinkers. They're very shallow thinkers. You know, they jump on bandwagons for clickbaiting and all that. They don't have deep think. I've seen basically Frankie basically trying to push away some woman that was actually saying, "Oh, I've tried all these things." She got consultancy. "I've tried all these things and nothing works," and all that. And he was just trying to push her aside because basically he had no solution for her whatsoever. It wasn't even prepared to basically say, "Look, get back to me. Let's have a chat. Let's work out. Maybe there's something other underlying issue that basically we haven't addressed and need to address." But he didn't even say that. He just basically brushed her off. And I'm going, fuck's sake, she gave you money. I mean, I help people and I don't brush them off even when they don't give me any money. You know, I don't ask you guys for money. I just here to try and help you. So, yeah, that should tell you everything anyway. You know, basically, I earn my money by working a day job, you know, and investing some of my money here and there in different things, different asset classes. I don't beg for money from anyone. And if I get to 1,000 Ks, it's more that I want to have the protection of the 1,000 K monetization. So, because they don't give you much, let's be honest. You get a few cents here and there. I'll probably end up just accumulating and donating it somewhere because I do donate money to different causes as well. So for me, it isn't the money. I won't be selling products either because that's not me either. So if you want a product, go elsewhere. I don't sell them and I'm not interested in selling. I'm just interested in understanding, like myself with my health issues and my cardiovascular issues and reversing a lot of that. My interest is understanding how things work and solving those problems. You know, I can tell you, YouTube and all this sort of stuff, there's not much money in it unless you're selling product. YouTube pays you nothing. And unless you're actually selling a product or selling a third-party product and getting endorsements and getting paid, that's where the real money is. And then these sites are promoted because YouTube wants to monetize these sites even more, and they end up getting well known. They get promoted in the algorithms deliberately because they're actually promoting some of their advertisers. Since I will never be promoting any of the advertisers out there, they're never going to basically give me a chance to grow. It's you guys that are going to, through word of mouth, that are going to be, other people in the community will get to know me and then subscribe to me. And I'll be able to help more people with good knowledge and not nonsense. And that's the only difference between the different crowds. So look, I got no time for them. You know, they're always trying to sell something and treat people like shit in many cases. Harry, you mentioned how folic acid into arsenic, not in everyone, in people like me, yes. So people that are poor converters, some of us will basically, it's a smaller percentage of the population, not a big percentage. It's about, in Southern Europeans, I think it's about 12%, 13%. In Northern, it's about 9%. So it's not a massive amount, but it's not the best version. If you don't have the proper enzymes, that means the genetics to produce the proper enzymes to transcript those enzymes, the little machines, proteins, to basically then do the conversion properly, you can end up with more arsenic. But that's why I say get it from the food, from real food, folate. The eggs are very rich in folate. Liver is very rich in folate. And many other foods. If you're into keto or stuff like that, there are a number of vegetables that are rich in folate as well. So you don't need a supplement. You know, not a good thing. And folic acid is a really poor supplement. Look, in some people, it will convert really well to folate. There are other pathways there, and it's not an issue. But it's not something that I actually go out there recommending to anyone. I usually say, get it from the food. If you're eating eggs and stuff like that, you'll get more than enough folate and B12, because if you supplement with folate, you will basically deplete B12 because you need more B12. So it's not a good idea to supplement with folic acid because you will basically deplete B12, and B12 is very important for the brain, remember. So you should be eating species-appropriate foods that give you sufficient folate and sufficient B12 for your brain and your methylation system. But very important is another element, B6, which is also in animal foods. You'll get, if you eat steaks and stuff like that, you'll get plenty of animal foods. And the most important thing is riboflavin. Riboflavin, 2 glasses of milk, you'll get 100%. If you're eating animal products like a steak, you'll get more than 100% of riboflavin. Riboflavin, if you have an MTHFR issue, and I've done a video on MTHFR because I suffer from it as well, you need to consume more riboflavin, like double or more. I consume about 3 to 4 times the RDI of riboflavin, because what it does is it fixes the enzymatic pathway. So the methylation pathway, those enzymes that are involved in that methylation, that pathway of folate, B12, B6 is a minor player, is really riboflavin, which will upregulate that. So people like me need more riboflavin, and that corrects our MTHFR issue. You don't need more folate. You don't need any special nutraceuticals. You don't even need a naturopathic doctor. You just need to fucking take more riboflavin, and it fixes the problem. I showed you the study. It corrects it, and it fulfills the Bradford Hill criteria. It's dose dependent. The more riboflavin, the more you basically bring down homocysteine. So it fixes the problem with people that have got that genetic problem. Done. And if you don't believe me, if you've got that genetic SNP, consume quite a bit of riboflavin and then go and do a test on the homocysteine, and you will notice it's low. And you'll go, ooh, is that all I had to do? That's all you had to fucking do. So, yeah, so don't bother. Now, if you've got a burden of methylation, let's say you've got a lot of things in the environment and stuff like that, the best supplement to take is to support the other pathway, choline betaine. Why? Because choline, unless you've got another SNP like me, you're a poor bastard like me, it's a very small percentage of the population, it's less than 10%, that basically can't convert choline, like methionine, choline, and then choline onto folate. And so, as you can see, you can, if the majority of people can either use more, like if you've got the same genetics as me, you would actually use about 2 to 3 grams if you've got a lot of issues to deal with for methylation purposes in terms of choline. If you don't, I would at least get 1 gram, because what it will do is, let's say you're not consuming liver and eggs because you hate liver, you dislike, for instance, eggs, or you've got you don't react well with eggs, then what you can do is you can take more choline as a supplement, and what that will do is that will actually give you the additional folate. The additional folate. It'll convert in your body because most of the people have the conversion capacity to go from choline to folate. So, problem solved. But, there are more than one way of skinning a cat. Let's put it that way. But that's another reason why you need to understand some of your genetics. But that's my view. A lot of carnivores have different opinions. They just say, well, just eat species appropriate diet and you'll be fine. I usually say, well, know a bit about genetics can help, because even though all humans up to 10,000 years may have had similar genetics, because we cease to be tribal people, we live in cities, we live in farmlands, and we've changed a lot of our diet over a number of generations. We have changed some of our genetics. And as a consequence of changing some of those genetics, we have created some advantages and some disadvantages in ourselves compared to a tribal person. So it's good to know some of these things, these elements that could be affecting, because it could be some genetic pathway like the NTHFR issue, and you check your genetics, you check my video, you look at which SNPs they are, you go, I've got that SNP. Oh, I know what Harry said. Take more riboflavin, take more choline, problem fixed. So that's what I'm trying to do, is help you guys. Anyway, I'm waiting for F's nervous breakdown video. Oh, yeah, in time. Yes, the boy will at some point, I don't think he's traveling very well mentally. Is there a point to taking MK4 supplements if you've been deficient, or is better? Look, just get it from the food. So eggs, liver, meat, a number of seafoods, things like brie is really good. So brie is extremely low in carbohydrate and is moderate level of protein, especially if you're doing keto. It's the perfect keto cheese, brie and camembert. Camembert has a bit more protein, but not much. It's more fat. And they are 100% MK4. Another one is Gouda, which is a cheese very popular in the Netherlands. So the Dutch, many Dutch people love Gouda, and that also has a very high MK4. If you're into goose liver pate, I actually had some liver pate yesterday, and that will give you also, that is pure MK4. So there's a lot of things you can utilize in that regard. Anyway, how does Candida work? Is it the same as SIBO? No, but they can be related. SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and Candida is something that, well, usually it's like a yeast type, fungal type thing that basically is in your body, and it goes really rogue and starts growing rapidly. Some people say it's due to an imbalance in your gut microbiome, but I would say the key reasons for it is a poor acidic stomach. That means eating a species inappropriate diet for a very long time. That's what causes SIBO, and also Candida. So sugar feeds Candida. SIBO is fed by a poor stomach acid environment. So if your pH is too high, you can't cleanse your small intestine. So pretty much the body, or if you're not producing sufficient bile as well. So bile and stomach acid are the things that keep both Candida and SIBO at bay. So usually people that have got SIBO or Candida issues usually have gallbladder issues, gallstone issues, gall sludge issues. And yeah, actually I've nearly edited my video on that, on gallstones. It is coming out next week. I still need to cut some. Anyway, like with the other one, my niacin one, I split it in half. Well, I need to split in half and then join it together. Anyway, editing shit. So yeah, it's not too far away. Let's put it that way, and that will cover gall bladder and gallstones and gall sludge and all that, and how to eliminate it. And it also explains why some of the flushes don't work and some of the other nonsense out there doesn't work, and things that you can utilize to actually sort out your liver, sort out your gallbladder, and sort out your pancreas. So it's a much more nuanced and involved to explain, but it's an important one because a lot of people suffer from a lot of these gastrointestinal issues and shit like that. So this will clear up a lot of things, how to sort of that side of things out. The best thing that actually will lower, actually, that it's something that I actually have twice a week: cured meats. The hydrogen pumps you've got in your stomach. What do they need? They need chloride from salt. So yes, so basically, salted meat will lower the pH. And what will a lower pH do? It will eliminate a lot of these issues out of your stomach, both the bacteria and also the candida issues in your stomach. So a lot of these things like H. pylori and candida and all that try to down-regulate the production of acid. So sometimes people will like to use like a HCl to increase their acidity, to force the die-off of these arseholes in there, the bacteria and the candida, and then the stomach will be in a better state. And as long as you're eating a species-appropriate diet, you will keep your pH low. Meat tends to lower the pH. So very important. And so does dairy. Both. That's why they're criticized. Oh, these are so acid-creating foods. Obviously, you want acid-creating foods like dairy and meat because they fucking basically keep your stomach sterilized from bacteria and candida. Anyway, that's why these fucktards out there do, you don't want your stomach being so acidic. I mean, fuck me, idiots. Yes, and that's why SIBO and candida are endemic within the vegan community and the lunacy as well. So when you actually have a good gallbladder, that bile will cleanse your intestine, your small intestine, right through down to its base where it meets with the colon, and it will basically recycle as long as the FXR enzyme is functioning properly in the liver. So there may be some issues, and there milk thistle is the thing that can help. So yeah, so that's the easy way. If you're on a species appropriate diet and you have issues with SIBO or candida, I would say you may have too much overgrowth in your stomach. So I would get my stomach tested. And then you may have to basically deal with a H. pylori with, maybe some antibiotic and all that as a temporary thing. Then you'll have to basically sort out your probiotics after and everything else. But that's a different issue. It's not a perfect solution. I don't like using antibiotics unless you really have to, but sometimes that's the only way of eliminating the H. pylori issue that's preventing your stomach from becoming more acidic. And then there's all the downflow from there, issues that come from that. So there are other ways. Cured meats and more, salt tends to help, reduce H. pylori as well. There's a number of herbs and stuff like that. It'll be all in my future sort of videos discussed, and I will do one on SIBO and I will do one on candida and stuff like that. There is actually also an important supplement that you can get from iHerb that I've used in the past when I was consuming too many plants. And that actually not only breaks down the cell membrane of the candida, but which is very important, but sort of, because the biggest problem is actually it creates like a protective lining. It's a real nasty thing to protect itself. So you really need something that can potently rip it to bits. And this helps in that process. But as I said, taking a supplement doesn't help unless you're doing all the other good things, like, increasing your salt, you're increasing your meat, increasing all the appropriate foods that basically work synergistically with that supplement, to basically eliminate reduce the problem, and then help the foods acidify and improve your general functioning of the pancreas, the liver, and the stomach, to basically then cleanse below there and eliminate the problem for good. So, yes. Anyway, let's move on. I follow repeat retarded assumptions yielding. yes. Very. He's actually. He won't actually come on at all on any live stream. He basically hides. People I've heard that know him have said he's really deteriorated. Yes, it doesn't seem like his high sugar diet is doing much for him. Anyway, exactly. Oh, yeah, StreamYard. Fuck. Yeah, where? Fuck. Shit. I just lost. It took out a whole lot of things. Sorry. God, I wish it would slow down so I could actually get through. I like to answer things comprehensively, as you guys know. Oh, yes. Move through. Yeah, you scratched around. Yeah. God almighty. The only thing interesting about Salad Boy Poofer thing is him showing improvements in various markers of his clients post-removing. Obviously, a lot can be going on. Yeah, potentially, there could be a lot of other underlying issues. There is a case, let's put it this way. If you've got basically gut permeability, other issues and whatever else, and then the sort of products, there are some products out there as far as pork goes and bacon and stuff like that have basically got both seed oils in there and sugar. And so that's probably what it is. When you eliminate the actual seed oil and the sugar, the difference is I actually get my pork is smoked and cured with salt, nothing else. And so there's a fundamental difference between pork that's being cured that way and pork. I don't give a shit what the food is. If you can actually get beef jerky, which is full of fructose, it's being fully glycated in many cases, a lot of these manufacturers, what they do is they combine the fructose with seed oil and a couple of other things, and they combine it and put it in. If you take a look at some of the beef jerky that I've actually looked at in the supermarket, yeah, it's actually got like canola oil, sugar, canola oil. If you're eating that sort of product, obviously when you remove it, you're going to be better. But was it the other things, the confounding other things, or not? Who knows? People do a lot of shit, in their diet. And then they blame one thing, and then I go, show me which product you were actually using on that time. And when they show me their product, I go, oh, so this is what you were really eating. Oops. I'll bring up the one that better share this. Harry showing you how many seconds of life you have left after talking shit about dairy. Nice one, mate. Yes. Thanks, Loki. Oh, no. MCTL. Holy hell. Tried it once in the beginning. Belly rolling all day. Yeah, exactly. I got tossed in the trash. Yeah, exactly. Look, I think it's completely and utterly overrated. And it's unnatural. Coconut oil is natural. MCT isn't. And the profile of the fatty acids is such that, some of them seem to, if you have too much and you eliminate some of the other long chain fats, I think this is where there's no science to prove it. There is a lot of observational data to show that when you take MCTs, in a number of people, you increase allergies or allergic effects or whatever. I think it's the elimination of the long chain fats. That's probably the reason behind it. But can I prove it? No. There is no proof. There is no science out there. All we have is studies that actually show that there is an allergic effect and all that. Would you naturally consume such a food in nature? No. As a purified thing like that. That's why I'm not really into packaged foods or things that come out of factories. Why? Because they tend to basically be unbalanced, unnatural in their composition we're talking about now. Because even you could say, well, processed food like bacon isn't entirely natural. It's been cured and all that with salt and all that. Yes, that's true. But what I'm talking about is something that your grandmother would not recognize, something that's come out of a factory and been glued together by chemists, a chemical cocktail by chemists. So I tend to not be a very big fan of those sort of things. And even vitamin D3, I usually say to people, you've heard me before, it's only this year due to requiring vitamin D3 to protect myself against the virus. The thing that should not be mentioned, that thing, yes, the virus, so it's only for that I've actually, because I can't get to the tropics to get, because I usually at summer, right in the middle of winter, I'd go to the tropics and I'd be out enjoying the sun, getting my vitamin D levels really high. And basically by the time I came back, within a couple of months, we'd be into spring and then into summer, and I'd just be getting it by walking around and being outdoors and just basically sitting in the sun. So I didn't need to supplement. But this year I've been forced to. I'm not happy that I've been forced to. I think it's a waste of money. But if you can't access the tropics to get the additional, to maintain higher levels of D3 so you don't get respiratory infections. I mean, in the past, you got a bit of a respiratory infection because your vitamin D was much lower, so you're more susceptible to the flu and flu-like symptoms. You just soldiered on, in a sense. But with this nasty one, it's a bit more contagious, a bit more nastier. It's still a respiratory infection like the flu, but it's a bit more nastier. I wasn't going to take any chances. So that's the only reason I supplemented. And, But I also tried to get, like, I did buy cod liver as well from Rosetta, which is a real good brand, as I've just spoken to you guys before. And that sort of helps. Yes, I wouldn't waste my time, mate. Wouldn't waste my time. Yep. We've all been down the MCT pathway. Let's put it that way. Stirring the pot. He's stirring the pot, isn't he? Yes. Damn frogs in his pond. And more, and more. Okay, what do you think about Ted Naiman's? He promotes high protein diets and not adding extra fat if you're insulin resistance. Nonsense. Simple as that. Actually, if you have, let's say, a potato and you actually add fat to that potato, you will slow the take up of glucose. So, but if you exceed and you engage the Randall cycle, what are you going to have? It doesn't matter what you have. If you're engaging the Randall cycle, you will become insulin resistant temporarily until that energy is taken up and used, and then their cells can take in more. And the insulin resistance at the cell level depends. You can have 95% of your cells being insulin resistant, 5% not, because they don't have enough energy. They'll still take up energy. So insulin resistance is both a systemic and localized phenomenon at the cell level, and can be systemic throughout the whole body if it's very high. That means the gradient of the insulin resistance, that means how much energy is inside and outside the cells, will determine that gradient, how high that gradient. The initial, once you hit the threshold, that cell will switch into a state of insulin resistance, down-regulate the receptors that take in sugar, the GLUT4 as an example, in your CD36, which takes in basically your long-chain fats and stuff like that. So they will down-regulate, and the cell will say, we're not here for business. We've got plenty of shit in here to oxidize. But if it's systemic, that's a different issue altogether. But what high protein can do for you is can satiate you. That means can make you less hungry. There are people that are prone to excessive hunger. They may not only be insulin resistant, but at the same time be leptin resistant. And these people have an insatiable hunger. And protein can basically blunt that. So in a small group of people, it probably has some value to blunt the hunger by more protein. It will put your hormones in the toilet to some extent. So I don't really recommend it to both males or females, in particular females that need more fat than males. But, when it comes to the actual issues of insulin resistance, I would say protein in a small group of people can have a positive effect, but I don't think it's a short-term solution. Ultimately, you need to be on a species-appropriate diet, balancing the level of fat and protein you need in your body. Now, if you're basically trying to lose weight, and you're in a state of ketosis, then I'd cut back slightly on the fat, but not too much. So rather than being a ratio of 1-to-1, I would probably cut back to first I'll increase the fat to force my metabolic rate up and support that. And then I would basically, cut back like half a ratio, half my fat the next day, and keep the protein stable. And then I would do that for a couple of days and then go back to a much higher. So I would reduce, what I used to do is about 2 to 3 days, 48 to 78 hours, to 72 hours, I would reduce the fat content and then I would bring it back up to stoke the metabolism. So this sort of like nearly a pulsatile thing. Anyway, so depends what you're trying to do. So when people ask me things, I usually recommend all sorts of things, which can be slightly different for you, for somebody else, depending on where they are. Somebody's trying to gain weight, completely different. That's when I basically say, well, you want to gain weight, don't you? Well, let's add more, dairy, milk into your diet, and let's cut back your exercise a bit because that'll do it. You won't, that glycogen, you'll be actually from the animal product, you'll be basically not really utilized. You'll have more sugar in the actual liver, and you will basically be, at some point, you'll cause some resistance and force the body to produce more triglycerides and store that stuff. Also, if the chylomicrons are going around and they can't actually utilize it, they're going to go to the adipose tissue and go, look, we've got a whole lot of fat. We can't give it to the cells because they're not interested at the moment. They're basically, he's a couch potato at this stage. So we're just going to park it here for a while and he may need it later on. And that's what they do. So it depends where you are, what you're doing and stuff like that. So it's a more nuanced story. A lot of these guys, they're selling books or they're selling some sort of, meal plans or whatever, and they come up with this one size fits all, which doesn't really fit, and they've made a career out of it. So, I'm not selling anything. As I said, I don't make a career out of anything. So I would say in general, I disagree with his position in terms of, and if you really wanted to basically, the best thermogenic effect would be to build muscles. If I was to basically say anything to anybody, I'd say, you want to have a high metabolism? Do you see those weights over there? Start, pumping some iron. That's what I'd be telling people. So, yeah, exactly. My opinion. This is before surgery, antiseptic grade, but not sure. Okay, so you're answering somebody's question. Be at some antiseptic solution. We'll move on. In case you haven't already addressed this in a video that I haven't watched yet, not sure what haven't I addressed. It's just what I haven't addressed. Thoughts on niacin setting some of one's biological clock. Believed we have 3 or 4 of those. I don't know about biological clocks, whether niacin can. I've heard some people say it can. They haven't actually shown me convincing science. Look, niacin does play a very important role in redox, very important role at the mitochondrial level, NAD, NADP. So, yeah, it's really important in supporting the electron chain and stuff like that. And obviously, because of the accumulation of phosphate and all that, can have issues with your circadian rhythms and stuff like that. In that regard, I tend to take niacin in the daytime, not in the evening. I should have mentioned that. I didn't. Sorry. So, yes, I should make a point of that. I need to put a comment somewhere on that video. Yes, I was sort of focused on the others, not about taking it, timing and stuff like that. So usually in the daytime is when I take it. So in that regard, because you do want to basically build up more ADP, adenophosphate, as you're increasing your melatonin and you become a bit more sleepier at night. Anyway, we don't want you too over-energized. You're an old man. I don't know. Are you? No, I'm just joking. Who wants to ditch the channel? Okay. Somebody wants to leave, they can leave. I'm not, I don't want people to leave, but, it's anybody's right to do whatever they like. Oh, about me leaving. Oh. Okay. You don't want me to ditch. Yeah, look, I've changed my mind. I'm staying. Initially, I'd actually put that down to Bart. I said, this is when I first started the channel. I said to Bart, and in the early days when YouTube started doing all this started screwing with our channel, and I actually said, look, I've had enough of it. Yeah, this was a couple of months back, and I was actually contemplating then of ditching the channel. And then I said at the time, I think I said to Bart, if I get up to over 1,000 and my channel isn't at, because it's monetized, it'll be at less risk, just in case, because YouTube at the moment, the way they actually go around, they may in future, if you don't have a certain level of subscription, you're not monetized and all that, they, because they get income from their commercials. And if you're, you're not they make in future cull. And I'm going, why am I building something which eventually at the, in the next year or two could get culled, and all the effort that I've put in goes to waste, so why am I wasting my time? And I actually said to Bart, look, I'd just rather come onto your channel and just chat about different things, rather than putting the effort in, sort of on a losing cause, and wasting my time, which I could use to benefit myself in other ways. I've got plenty of other things that I can do in my life. So that was the thinking back then. But since then, I've become closer to you guys, and as a sort of consequence of becoming closer, it's, I feel more obliged to sort of stay on, surf, or I feel, sort of a commitment or whatever. And that's probably it, So in that way, I still get frustrated with some of the risks that are involved. At some point, I've started downloading all my videos. So I've got them. And at worst case scenario, if YouTube does cull me out, and other people that don't have sufficient monetization for them, because really at the end of the day, the monetization isn't for me. People that get monetized, they get peanuts. It's not even worth my time for monetization. If it was for money, I wouldn't be basically having, this channel would have been closed a long time ago. Let's put it that way. But the reason is that that's YouTube or Google, they basically, prefer people that are monetized. Why? Because they can put commercials and they can basically make income from those people. Bart's talked about it before, and argued how they've basically demonetized him while they were running commercials on his videos, which really was pissing him off, because basically this on the online world is his income stream, one of his income streams. He's got a property that they rent, and then they've, jobs here and there that they do on the side as well, and some other things. Now they've got, he's promoting the stem cell stuff and all that. So he's got other things that he's on the go with, that sort of stuff. But people like myself that don't have any of these income streams, I don't have products to sell. I'm not promoting any products. This is just basically a hobby for me. You know, the risk of putting in a whole lot of effort and then be basically canned is not an enjoyable risk. And that's why I had those sort of thoughts in that regard. But no, look, I enjoy chatting with you guys and, you know, trying to help you guys and stuff like that. I enjoy the community. Yeah, I just hope that I can get to over 1,000. I feel a bit more secure that I'm not going to be canned or culled or, you know, or bayoneted by YouTube at one point in time. They are ruthless people. Thank you. I appreciate it. Look, that's basically, you know, like Deborah is promoting around. That's all you guys can. If it's the only way I'm going to get known. It's the only, YouTube's not going to help me. You guys have to really help me grow and secure me. I can't secure myself. You guys really have to put in a bit of effort. I mean, in many cases, just posting. If you were to post one, you were to share one of my videos every week, you were to post my channel once somewhere, once a week. It's not a big effort. It's probably 5-minute effort for you in your life. It's not massive. You would really help me grow much faster. So if you want me here, you really have to help me in that regard. No pressure. Yeah, a bit of that as well. I'm a sucker. Now I'm getting threats. Yeah, I'd expect that from T2 and T1. Actually, I'd expect that more from T1. What's wrong with you? Yeah, probably. You're probably right, Dylan. I would say that, yeah, I don't know, he's going down a really strange path. And unfortunately, there's going to be a number of people in our community that he's going to basically take with him into the repeat camp, unfortunately. And it's not going to help those people, their health. It's going to really harm them in the long run, unfortunately. So what can you do? All we can do is you guys basically is trying to point these things out to people so they don't become suckers or get screwed by these YouTube sensations as they think they are. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see T2, you know, he's doing it a classy way. Oh, T1. No. Leave him be. We definitely don't want him in Australia. Keep him out. He's a bit. Well, he's even worse than Wacko Jacko. He at least was a character, a fun character. I wouldn't use that way of describing Frankie, I can tell you. Thank you. I appreciate it, Henry. If you can get the message out there, we'll definitely appreciate it. Thank you. Group kidnap. But yeah, I'd go for the barbecue party. That'd sound good. Actually, if I really wanted to get out of the cut, in the past, I used to, because I knew a number of people in the maritime industry, and I used to actually, this is back in we're talking about the 80s, I used to get any port in Australia. I'd go over with a crew, and I would go to any port in Australia, which was really good. I used to get everywhere. I did have some friends in Greece that were basically the ship that were, seamen and all that. And, so I had contacts all over the place. I don't have the same contacts. Back then I did have great contacts to be able to move if I wanted beyond the place that I resided at the time. So it was pretty good in that regard. Yes. Have to say thank you to the guys from the different boats that come to Tasmania. I won't mention them just in case I, cause any issues. But yes, it was a way of getting out of the state, because back then, air travel. I was in my youthful. I was quite young, pretty hard, very expensive. We're talking about the 80s now. Air travel wasn't as cheap as it is today. Oops. This plane keeps on getting better. Should I be worried? Hey, as long as you provide the food at the other end, I'm in. Suck it up, Tito. No, thanks. Exactly. I do. So do I. But actually, my Twitter account doesn't use my name. Actually, it's an alias that I use on my Twitter account. So it's deliberate. It's deliberate because that's where I really unleash in some regards, and it would never get back to my employer and affect my job security, so to speak. That's where I really unleash. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, spot on. Yes, very much. I mean, Zverev just got his issues, but at least he's got some style in the way he presents. I mean, yeah, Luke is just all over the show. He's just lost the plot. Nah, you probably don't need that sort of stuff, to be honest. I mean, some people say that they've seen. I mean, there are a lot of these sort of things. They'll either have some hormetic effect. It's usually the thing. Is it really necessary to spend the money for these things? So it's like anything. A lot of these sort of things does it really fit? What, shaking kitties? Calling us kitties now. Yeah, uncle. How are you, uncle? Uncle Bart? I can do that because he's not here, so he won't troll me. Don't worry, I've caught him worse when I've been chatting to him directly. That was the adrenal stuff we were talking about earlier. Actually, I did actually see something I just remembered. Let me bring it up. Actually, Eric Bergs, just recently, somebody brought it to my attention, which was really damn interesting. Let me just find it. Bear with me for a bit. Yeah, here it is. This is a revelation from Eric's side of the fence. So this is one of his new, that was yesterday, 31st. And he basically is poo-pooing spinach. So hold on. I think the audio isn't coming through, so I have to reshare it. Sorry, guys.
Absolute worst source of iron. And I know you've been watching Popeye the Sailor Man, and all this canned spinach is going to make you really, really strong because of the iron, when in fact, it's not going to do that. There's two sources of iron.
So basically, this is one of his recent ones, and he's poo-pooing a lot of the plant-based stuff. He's even attacking oxalates, which is good because oxalates bind, we know, iron and many other things as well. So they are bad and nasty, and your body needs to use a whole lot of sulfur to get rid of this fucking piece of shit from these foods. He's also poo-pooing polyphenols, because polyphenols also cause, and remember, every single plant that traditionally in the keto, paleo, and vegan and vegetarian community are promoted is the great benefit of polyphenols. But it also has negative effects on iron and many other things. So it talks about phytates here as well, about legumes, seeds, and nuts and grains. Talks about the differences. You only get an absorption of 1.4%, where with hemine you get up to 20, but that can actually vary depending on how clean your diet is. So, and look what all the best foods: clams, liver, kidney, oysters, octopus, mussels, red meat, fish, eggs. Is he moving towards the carnivore? He seems very recently, now and then, he seems to be dabbing his little foot into the carnivore community and literally basically starting to shift away and starting to poo-poo some of the plant foods in the past that he used to basically glorify. So very, very bloody interesting. Go and check it out. I'm not going to play it right now, but I would say go and check it out. So yes, very interesting. He is starting to move away from some of that stuff that he was sticking to for some time. So traditionally, I mean, kale and spinach and all this were very much up there for him. And now he's starting to poo-poo those sort of foods, which is very interesting because, more and more people are suffering because of eating those foods, those species inappropriate foods. Anyway. Oh. Typical comment. Damn fucking New Zealand troll. That's all I can say. Go and play with your sheep. No, he does. He didn't. He actually said it further down that he didn't. Yes. He may be. Yes, he's busy. Now we don't know what he's busy with. We won't speculate. Loki. Nah. Okay. Earth. Worth consuming for sulfur. Don't know. I don't know enough about the. I've heard about it, but I don't know enough about it, and I haven't actually looked at any research. So, in that regard, it does have some, some sulfur in it and stuff like that. But I sort of have traditionally steered people to real food. So I usually say to people, eggs. Even the old bodybuilders, they used to basically eat shitloads of eggs. And I still need to basically fucking make that video with the old egg and dairy or sort of that smoothie that they used to consume. It's part of the old, the gold era type, in the gold era gyms and stuff like that they used to use. But I will, great source, liver, great source, meats, great source of sulfur, sulfur amino acids, big in all the animal products. So, I mean, well, you do find a bit in like onions and garlic, but there's a lot of other issues with those plant-based foods as well. So I would say, eat a species appropriate diet, and you probably don't need all these supplementations. Don't waste your money, guys. If we go back 50 years, none of these things existed. So, and the problem is a lot of these, because they're processed, when you process any sort of amino acid, you increase the deuterium content. So when you increase deuterium, you're actually putting more strain on your mitochondria to dehydrogenase. When it's cleaving off the actual hydrogens, there'll be more deuteriums there. When it cleaves them off, it needs to replace those. That's how it causes a deuterium depletion. If you've got too many, you're eventually, a lot of people use a lot of powders, a lot of processed aminos, and the high level of processed aminos will have high level of deuterium compared to natural foods, and that higher level will put an extra burden on your mitochondria to try and actually eliminate the deuterium out of the matrix within the inner part of. And when you get more deuterium in there, eventually some of that will get into your nanomotors, into your electron chain, and damage your ATP synthase. And that's where the problem lies. And I've discussed this a number of times, that you need to first prioritize food and then look at supplements as an adjunct to fix some past indiscretions. And that's how I would approach things personally. Now, what you do with your body is your business, like anyone else. You need to take responsibility for your own body. All I'm telling you is there's the deuterium side of things, which always needs to be considered. So try and keep a lot of the processed elements in the supplemental elements in your diet to a bare minimum, because ultimately, if you want healthy mitochondria to provide you energy into old age, to be a bit like those North American plain Indian warriors that used to, in their 70s, chiefs that used to jump and mount a horse and go into battle, to have those level of energies, you need to basically keep the deuterium down. The old bodybuilders, they used to eat a much cleaner steak and eggs and stuff like that, real food. Those guys, and a lot of fat, like they used to have. I mean, when I do that video, you'll see the amount of cream. It's like a 1-to-1 cream and milk, shitloads of fat in there as well. These people knew how to provide energy and the right protein levels required for their bodies to work and function properly. So because the extra fat, what it does is it's low in deuterium. So even though you consume more aminos, less of an issue, because the more fat, you balance out. This is why I'm vehemently against rice and high fructose things like honey and stuff like that in bodybuilders. Because what you're doing is you're adding high deuterium foods in there together with because I'll put it in this way: fats have got the lowest deuterium, protein has got the next lowest, and sugar's got the highest. Protein is in the middle, and fat is in the low range of deuterium. So when you do fat and protein, that's fine. You've got sufficient deuterionated source of nutrients that basically will mean that when you create metabolic water from that fat, you will because basically what you're doing is you're taking carbon and hydrogen in the form of food, you bring it in, you're combining, you bring in oxygen, you're going through all those enzymatic pathways, stripping off the hydrogen, you add phosphate, you oxidize that carbon, and you exhale carbon dioxide. And some of that acidity you get rid of through the kidneys. So that's what you're doing. But at the same time, all these enzymatic pathways are dealing with the hydrogens that they have to strip off. And if there's too many of those which are deteriorated, have got deuterium, then you're creating problems, because the body has a threshold that it can actually deplete deuterium. Beyond that, I mean, environmental things can help. So if you're in light, like UV light can actually also deplete. Earthing yourself could also deplete. So there's a lot of strategies. Exercise, better sleep, and all that can also deplete. So there's a lot of different strategies that cause depletion of deuterium. But you want to minimize the amount of stuff you're putting in. It's really critical. So when I usually recommend sulfur, it's usually in terms of food sulfur. And as a short-term thing, MSM. And the reason for MSM is out of the all sulfur type sources, it tends to have lower deuterium. It's still high compared to meat, to protein from animal product, but it's slightly lower than some of the other supplements. And that's the only reason why I usually recommend it as something to use, especially if you're being sulfur depleted because of oxalate dumping and all these other things. Everybody's circumstance is going to be completely different. So as I said, the dosages that I recommend to one person is going to be completely different than another person. And the reason is because you're in a different situation. Everybody's in a different situation and all that. And that's why I usually get people to do a few tests, find out exactly where they are. Because sometimes it's, there are some things that need to be tested. So it depends. I know it frustrates a few people when I make demands of that sort, when they do email me, but, I'm not going to speculate on their health. Anyway, I ranted again, didn't I? Oh, sorry. Oops. Ian. G'day, Zombie. Good to see you. I don't know whether she's still here. She may have moved on. That's the product. So it's helped his eyes, it's helped his macular degeneration. I think it's a good product. So if people have got certain things that they want to reverse much quicker and all that, I mean, you can do, remember I did it over a decade dealing with a lot of my things. And I can tell you that if I was aware of this product, I probably would have taken it in the early days, because it would have saved me a lot of, work in a sense. I still would have had to do some of the other stuff. I still would have had to clean. You can't continue taking something like that, but it would have happened faster. So, but it depends where you are, what your ailments are and your issues, whether it's you need it or don't. I'll leave that up to people's personal decisions. I tend to very rarely do that. Oh, that was the same as before. So that's the same. Same one is force-fed glucose. Any idea of how to still minimize mitigating glycation? Really hard. Taurine seems to have a bit of an effect in helping with glycation. There's a couple of other aminos, but it depends on the threshold. I know taurine can help, but it really depends on the sort of the level. Yeah, that's another thing that because I always forget I'm a sort of a more traditionalist, the sort of alcohols that I drink and stuff like that. But other people do drink a lot of different things with juices in them and all sorts of things and variations. So sometimes I need to be mindful about younger people nowadays and stuff that they put in their drinks. I tend to forget these things. So I would say I would probably add, we said choline, we said, and that's for the detox part of the liver and all that, but I would also add taurine in there as well. So, you know, a gram or two. There's a couple of other things that I've been thinking about, but you'll have to wait for a video for that. And I'm not sure whether I should make it or shouldn't make it. Should I be promoting people's way of getting around alcohol abuse or other abuses? Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. I'm in two frames of mind about it, whether I should be telling people how to mitigate something, which really I shouldn't be promoting at all. Personally, yeah. Don't know, never tried it. If it works for you, good. In the first place, exactly. Oh, that definitely does work. I can truly say that that is definitely the best cure out there. Okay, let's move it rapidly through because we're nearly at 3 hours. Shit. The old man's got the pork steaks ready to go. You should write a book about the real Mediterranean diet, the Greek heritage and stories. Sometime I'll probably do something in that regard. The Greek style. I don't believe there's one Mediterranean diet. They do vary. There are a lot of similarities, especially if you look at the Italians. The majority of the land mass of Italy is also mountainous, and I can't remember. I was talking about. That's right. One of the guys at work, he's Italian, and he comes from Naples. His parents, but from the mountainous areas of Naples. You know, the pastoralists. You know, a lot of Italians are pastoralists. They come from mountainous areas. You know, so like the Greeks, 80% of Greece is pastoral, is basically mountainous. So it's very much meat and dairy, always has been from antiquity. You just have to look at anybody that's read Homer's Iliad, or the Odysseus story. Anybody that's read any of those old texts will just see basically there's just references about animal products of one sort or another, whether it's a goat, a lamb, whether it's cheese, or whether it's yogurt, or whether it's it's all dairy meat, whether it's an offering, whether they're eating something. And that's basically, it's so much intertwined. I mean, the Spartans talk about their pork type because one of their favorite foods amongst the Spartans is pork. And most of the people in that southern part of the area of Greece. Yeah, I'm still fucking talking. Damn troll. Damn New Zealand troll. Hey, go back and play with your sheep. And he's going to tell me now, I'm half Aussie. Not an excuse. So, yes. So, pretty much, yeah, that's the sort of foods I grew up with. Most of the rest is modern day stuff that came through due to the Marshall Plan and many other things. So, yep. Who doesn't like a good porking? Doesn't surprise me, mate. Doesn't surprise me. Yes, but that's true. You got 5 minutes. we're on a 5-minute countdown, and I'm off to the old man's place for my pork chops. Actually had some beautiful steaks yesterday, that thick. I'm not kidding you, that thick, really beautiful steaks yesterday. They were absolutely beautiful. And I've actually found I tried a new ice cream from, and it was 0 per serving, 0.2 carbs. My sister put me onto it. She's in the one that's in Western Australia. And she goes, "It tastes great." I'll tell you, the vanilla was really plain. The choco one was really nice. The one with chocolate in it was really nice. I haven't. There's a couple of others variations there, but interesting. But I thought I had found my my keto ice cream, but it seems, alas, I haven't found it. I'll have to make my own. Get into making my own ice cream, low sugar ice cream in the traditional way. Actually saw a device online, one of the old, devices, an Italian device that you basically make the ice cream in, an ice cream maker. So a wooden thing. That was interesting. So maybe I should buy one. God, we're down to 3 minutes. Yes. With kefir, greens, periodically I will have, but I'm not, you could say, somebody that promotes the constant consumption of sort of kefir and stuff like that. You don't really need it. I mean, periodically, if you've had a course of antibiotics or stuff like that because you've been forced to, let's say you got a bit of, you in the tropics, you cut yourself, you end up with a bit of, severe infection and you had to deal with it, so you had to take antibiotics, then probably at those stages I would consider something kefir and some other fermented foods and fermented animal products of different sorts to basically get back some of those beneficial stuff. But at the same time, if you basically have good acidity in the stomach, as I said before, and good bile acid flow, you will basically cleanse your intestine, and you'll give more than enough time for your colon and everything to sort of normalize back to normal. So it's less of an issue, but it's, it is nice now and then. I actually like it. I actually like the I get a bit of a buzz from it as well. So maybe that's my drug of choice. We've spoken about that earlier. You will have to go to earlier parts where I talk about SIBO and Candida. So we won't be revisiting that at this stage. Yes. Hit that damn like thing. Hit the like. The unicorn virus, Harry. Yes. Oh, well, I've been caught other things, stranger things. Actually, not a good thing. The pH of apple cider vinegar is slightly higher and can dilute the actual pH. So I would not advise it. On an empty stomach, yeah. But so if you take it before half an hour and then have a meal and all that, it'll actually have gone through, it'll have acidified stuff, then the meat will come through and the salt, the chloride part, and basically help increase those hydrogen pumps, increase the amount of acid that you'll basically build up. Yep. But it can be harmful to the teeth, to your teeth enamel, by consuming a lot of that sort of stuff, apple cider vinegar. So I'd give it a miss, personally. in that regard. You know where I have used apple cider vinegar for marinating things, so really like tough meat, and I have used it. You know, where I've created my own marinade with it to soften the meat. You know, so that's the only place that I've done it, but unnecessary. Yes, you basically definitely need to get off the sugar. Definitely not. Exactly. Spot on, Chill. Oh, thank you, T1. That's all you get. See, that's a nice thing. I do enjoy my channel. I can be a clown. I can be an informative clown. I can run it as I like because it's not an income stream for me. So I don't give a fuck. And I probably enjoy it this way anyway because I can just be myself. See you, Shell. And Little Bergman has been swinging more carnival lately. Yes, he has. That's why I showed that video. He's hasn't surprised me at all. Yeah, look, actually the funny thing is, when I actually checked my actual live stream, in the last 2 weeks that I've been putting up live streams, YouTube have not been posting them. So I've actually got it scheduled and it will not post them. And even when I schedule stuff, and only the premiere ones does it posts. So when I do a premiere, that's why all these other videos, you know, to try and get them out there, well, better known. But whenever I put something else up there, to be like the live streams that are posted, and they should basically show them. They should come up in, you know, when you in the channel, when you click on your channel, you get like the subscribers, and it brings up all the stuff that's in there. It doesn't come up, which really annoys me. And they've been doing this the last they really stuffed me up on the live chat being available after the stream. They fucked me over that, and I had to complain for at least 2 months, nearly. And it seems to have resolved itself now. And I don't tick on that box until after now. I first allow it to, you know, once I create it with StreamYard, then I put it on there, and then hours after I go and do an edit and tick the box, and it seems to resolve it. When it comes through via StreamYard, it basically doesn't. And when I tick it, you know, it seems to resolve it. But the bastards, what they've done is now they don't promote my live streams. So even though I put it up yesterday, it was only this morning that it became visible. Yeah, talk about trying to make it hard for people. You know, that's what those sort of things just piss me off. You know, it's unnecessary. Absolutely. Hi, Kitty. Kitty's asking me a question. I've been taking those pills, but has been pushed with Cyril for a month now. I've got to say it's helping me in a noticeable way. Yep. That's good to hear. Yeah. Look, I've seen from Bart's own result, and, you know, for him to basically reverse, you know, macular degeneration, I think it was wet as well. That's bad. That's really bad. You know, once you get to that stage, you're really heading for blindness, you know. So, you know, he's probably still got a bit of partial blindness. That's why he sort of he mixes up the animals that he sort of cuddles now and then. So I suspect there's a bit of that as well. But, you know, that's just a bit of my mischievous, you know. I think he's gone. I'm safe. The telly, Harry. Yeah, I'm still fucking talking. He's probably off to do a bit of porking. Oops. Oh, I lost my spot. Oh. What's he saying? Oh, God. Hey, don't encourage him, you fucking troll. Hey, I'm master of this channel. I can block him. Nah, I wish. I'd be making real good ice cream. Genuine ice cream, not this shit that they actually sell out there. Hi, I've heard you talk about increasing vitamin E to repair damage from seed oils over years are the best foods to incorporate. Yep. Look, some of these foods, I mean, eggs have got vitamin E. There's a lot of liver, things like that. But some people, I usually recommend a low dose vitamin E, which is the Jarrow one, which is a complex because it has to be a complex. Most people are not consuming a complex of vitamin E. It has to be a low dose one. Let me just find that. This is the one. So that's the low dose vitamin E. So Jarrow, Tocosolb, and it is a complex. So it's got low dose of tocopherol, and it's also got all the tocotrienols, and it's got the full complex which you find in a natural food like palm oil. So that's pretty much it. Palm oil, castor oil, in a gelatin, glycerin and water. So, but it's primarily derived from the palm oil. So, and the good thing about it is it's got less other shit in it as well. So that's a low dose, 4 to 6 years, depending on your past indiscretions, is the operative way in dealing with stored PUFA, damaged stored PUFA. And that will come from either seed oils or their byproducts like margarine, which a lot of people have been consuming for a number of years. So, yes, I do have one, and I'm just too bloody lazy to actually do it. Yeah, look, I know because we love ice cream. I love ice cream, and we just need to. Yep, exactly. Yep. So as you go to sleep, you'll be more sleepy and have deeper sleep. Pimp makes ice cream out of eggs and cream and some other carnival stuff like MCT and coconut fat. Yeah. Well, this product has got something similar. It's got a coconut based thing and all that. And Actually found at the Coles supermarket. Coles actually sell it. And I'll share that. This is the one that I actually tried. So they got on special currently. I think it's very pricey for the size. You know, because not a massive tub in that regard, and so it's $8.50. They got the Choco one. This is much nicer. I haven't tried this yet, but this one is definitely the nicer one in that regard, taste-wise. They don't have the ingredient list. Damn. Yeah. Let's just find the company. Different stores are going to have different amounts. Okay, so as you can see, there is a lot of different types that they have. So they've got chocolate, the minto, the peanut butter, the vanilla, the salted caramel. I'd love to try that. The espresso choco fudge. So they've got different. Those are vegan versions there. These are your regular sort of stuff. Now, let's go to the information. So they've even got versions for the vegetarded. So as you can see, pretty much for 100, 1.8. So 100 grams. So the peanut one's got a bit more. The vanilla, the mint one has got far less. And the choco one has got far less. So the vanilla one's the second highest, the peanut one's highest. And the sort of ingredients is water, cream, coconut cream, xylitol, which is probably, as sugar alcohols go, probably less egregious, less problematic. Xylitol seems to also affect slightly the pH in the mouth, which reduces cavities as well in some studies that have been shown. So out of the sugar alcohols, it's probably the least problematic. Obviously, it can have some, in high doses, some gastrointestinal issues like all the other sugar alcohols. So they're not perfect, but this is probably the one with the least problems in it. And I'm glad that they're actually using that. Whey protein concentrate, almond vanilla extract, guar gum, sea salt, and vanilla seeds. So as you can see, you know, they've got a bit of coconut cream here. They've got coconut cream in this one. This one they don't, but they've got too much, you know, peanut butter and stuff like that. It's an omega-6 and it's a plant-based omega. I would give that peanut butter definitely a miss. In that regard, this seems not too bad. And the amount of carbs even lower, 1.2 per 100 or 3.5 ounces for North American people. And for your vegetarian friends, they've even got some vegan varieties as well, which, you know, tapioca starch. There's some of the ingredients in here are not, that's pectin, which is you find in apples. In general, that, you know, some of the ingredients aren't as bad. Let's put it that way. There's no, you know, I mean, coconut oil, yeah, fine, because it doesn't have any cream. They need to put coconut oil because no cream. But generally speaking, there's nothing really dangerous in here like extreme refined sugars or seed oils. So it's not a bad brand if you basically, you can go and try the different varieties. I find the vanilla variety too bland for my tastes. And maybe they should have put a bit more vanilla in it. I don't know what, maybe they put too much coconut cream. And they should have put more actual cream, dairy cream. It would have made the taste much better, I personally believe. So I will be communicating with the company and letting them know what I think that they should lower the coconut cream and increase the actual cream from dairy in the product. I think it will become a much better product. They'll still be able to keep the carbs down, but make a product which is more creamy, more dairy based, and way more enjoyable to consume as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so that is all that part of things. Fuck, I've gone over time, haven't I? Fuck me. Anyway, anything here? Last minute things. That's it pretty much there. And yeah, look, these are sort of options that are available for people. Because sometimes it's not practical to make things, and if you want your kids to basically consume something which is not as bad for their health, for me it's still a cheat. For me, because it is a processed food, it's still not optimal. It is a cheat that I have, but I'm trying to minimize the cheat as far as things go on that front. So what's this? Man, these seed oils are everywhere. Yeah, even my vitamin D supplements have, yeah, exactly, sunflower. What the fuck? Yeah, that's why I don't recommend. I always recommend the stuff from Jarrow and the other company because they use extra virgin olive oil. And there are some others that use MCTs as well. But the majority out there are using sunflower oil. So there's even some that are using even worse than sunflower oil, really low quality stuff. So yeah, seed oils are everywhere, unfortunately. So in supplements, you have to read the labels. You have to really say, can I get it from a food? And if you can get it from a food, get it from the fucking food. Can I basically get the quantity that I need? If you were to come down with the Vardis and you need high dosing, like 20,000 IUs or 40,000 IUs, depending if you're how big you are, or 100,000 if you're very fat, very overweight. It all comes down to basically the dosage, but you want it to basically have the bare minimum of anything other that is problematic. And so, for me, sunflower oil would be a definitely no-no to be eliminated from the diet. So I better fucking get out of here because I have to basically put my trousers on and start walking pretty much. Dad's about 7 minutes away and I've got about 9 minutes. See yous. I'm out of here. Thank you for being here. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Take care. I wish I could have basically answered more people's questions and put people's comments, more of them, up on the post, so to speak, to post them. But, such is life and time and all that. And I had fun, enjoyed it. Take care. Look after yourselves and your families. And I will see you next week on the actual interwebs. And, I'll have a few videos next week as well in that regard. They may be delayed towards the end of the week, depending on when the plumbers turn up. So, yes, where I'm still dealing with them. I've still got a fucking hole here where the trapdoor is for underneath. So I've left it like that, and it's just I've just covered it so no rats or anything comes in, because we did find a rat just below it when we pulled it up and opened it up. I'm going, ugh. And the guy didn't actually want to grab it, so I just said, just, eventually he used a plastic bag I gave him, and then I just give it to me, and I just disposed of it. I go, fuck, I've disposed of dead animals plenty of times. People are so squeamish nowadays. Fucking hell. So that was funny. This big bloke, and he was squeamish about a little rat. Oh, God almighty. It was a bit of a bigger rat. It was a big rat, but anyway, it was dead. Ugh. See you guys. Thanks. Take care and bye. Yeah, I know the time, blinkers. I know the time. Yep, I know the time. Yep. I better get fucking going.